I get into the show, I look at one news article, and then I run off in a 30-minute, 40-minute, hour-long rant. I can't do that today. I've got to cover all this news. It's too important. But the power of the establishment is dissipating. It's draining out like a fat hog that you haul up by its legs when you slaughter it and you slit its throat. They're bleeding out. And the last drops of credibility are dripping from their neck right now. They are dead on arrival. They know it. So they're moving with authoritarian control. But that hoax is in the process of collapsing as well, because we, the people, in every town and city across this country, are gaining ground, gaining confidence, gaining momentum. But when you pull up the numbers that an anti-gun, anti-family, George Soros, General Electric, crime syndicate supporting outfit like MSNBC can't even get a couple 100,000 viewers, and ads for vacuum cleaners that they air get more viewers, people would rather watch an infomercial for a smoothie machine or for a food dehydrator or for a Chuck Norris weightlifting set than they would these people. They are jokes. Yes, they've got slick sets. Yes, they're in $10 million studios. Yes, psych warfare people are loading their teleprompters for them, but no one wants to watch it. And Fox is beginning to lose its viewers as well. Oh, it still has more viewers than all of their cable news combined, but only because they'll at least pose as patriots. Well, how long can they stand up against a show like this one? How long can Sean Hannity compete against the internet, where people don't have to mince words? Well, the answer is the system is a cornered rat, and it's very, very dangerous right now. And so just because we've got them down does not mean they don't have a lot of aces up their sleeves, a lot of tricks that they're ready to pull on us. So they are cornered rats. They are dangerous right now. But think about the credibility issue. I want to get all of my writers in the next few weeks to write articles from their perspectives, chronicling and pulling up the old articles that we wrote over the last 16 years, where we broke down exactly what Glass-Steagall would do in articles for Infowars.com 11 years ago. We broke down how they would sell derivatives, how they would destroy the economy, how they would then cut all the other social services as the fix when it won't fix anything if you don't get rid of the private Federal Reserve. So you got a cut on your hand. Yeah, you need to put a Band-Aid on it. It is a problem. But your other arm is cut off with blood spraying out of it. Do you handle the cut on your hand or the arm that's cut off? You know which issue you need to deal with first. And so I start thinking about how we broke down basically everything. We have such a high and rising credibility that the system is floundering. And the more they come out and tell you that he was born in Hawaii, the more they tell you they've shown you his birth certificate, which they haven't. They've shown a printout that's a receipt of birth certificate. The more they push this, the more investigators go to Indonesia, and the more they go to Kenya, and the more they go to Hawaii. And the governor, remember, when he was governor-elect, Governor Abercrombie, going back 4 or 5 months ago, he said, as soon as I get in office in the next few weeks, I'm going to go get the birth certificate and release it. And he went and looked for it and told the Honolulu Advertiser, he said, there isn't one. I can't find it. Ladies and gentlemen, I sent off to the Bureau of Vital Statistics 14 years ago for my birth certificate. You know why? You've all seen the video of me being arrested for refusing to thumb scan, and I brought 7 forms of ID, my old license, my insurance, my birth certificate, a health club card. I mean, I brought it all just to illustrate that they wanted my biometric scan. They arrested me, and then I put my birth certificate in my jacket, and then I ended up putting it in my back pocket, and then I washed my laundry and washed it, and so I later needed my original birth certificate when I was getting a passport, and I sent off to the Bureau of Vital Statistics, and I got one in the mail. a photocopy of the old blueprint with my paw marks, my feet marks on it, my little ink feet. In fact, I ought to dig that out. I've got it at home and bring it in. They will not release it, okay? Now, as people dig deeper, they learn about the CIA connections. They learn about the Indonesian citizenship, okay? This guy is a giant government-manufactured New World Order drone. Here are some of the headlines up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com today. Dollar tumbles to all-time low versus Swiss franc. Geithner defends strong dollar policy, says that the dollar's strong and that they want to make it strong when their policy does the opposite on record. Kind of like the head of Apple saying, we're not spying on you when it's admitted they are. Fed approaches crossroads as growth slows. Wealthy leaving Vegas mansions as foreclosure pain spreads. Coffee prices hit 34-year high. Cash-strapped California considers soda tax. Obama's broken promise, I'll help jobless blacks. Their joblessness is record levels. Still, they love him, though. It's identity politics. Sneak peek at the 2012 election. We're going to be breaking all of that down. And then I've got all these other interesting articles here in front of me. Here's Sky Television. That's Rupert Murdoch's Fox News in England and Europe. And I can't mention this without pulling up Fox News or AP. Anwar al-Awlaki, #2 in Al-Qaeda. AP says he's now the #1 actual operational commander. Born in New Mexico, trained in New York, admittedly government protected, hiding out continually at the Pentagon at high-level meetings with the Secretary of the Army. Oh, look, Sky News today. This is up on Infowars.com and PrisonPlanet.com. We'll be definitely getting Steve Watson and Paul Watson to do some reports on this. Because remember Rashid Aswat? He was the head of the 7/7 bombings. And it turned out he was MI6 and was allowed to fly in and out of the country and protected. And when one group of police didn't know that he was government, they had to be advised to leave him alone. Oh, always running well, there's another Al-Qaeda commander. Headline, Al-Qaeda bomber worked for UK intelligence. Excuse me, I was thinking of Awlaki working for U.S. intelligence. Al-Qaeda bomber worked for UK intelligence. I'm going to be getting to that. And remember, the underwear bomber worked for Awlaki, according to the Pentagon. And on Christmas Day a year and a half ago, he was gotten on the plane by a sharp-dressed man without a passport or anything, and when the State Department got pressured about it, they admitted an unnamed U.S. intelligence agency told us to get him on the plane. That's a pretty good trick there in Amsterdam. Got to bypass the naked body scanners that were already in. Got to get on the plane. And then his little firecracker went off, so all of us get to have the government stick their hands down our pants. Oh, and insider groups get billions of dollars of taxpayer money. Al-Qaeda assassin accused of bombing Christian churches and a luxury hotel in Pakistan was working for British intelligence at the same time, according to leaked files. And it goes on to report that the British government's not denying these leaked files are real. The files were handed to The Guardian and The Telegraph. Also indicate that 35 terrorists held at Guantanamo Bay may have been released by extremist preachers and radicalized by extremist preachers in the UK. Well, yeah, they're British intelligence on record, just like every other major event. Now, this guy's got a long name, but the claim about Adil Haid al-Jazari bin Hamalini is made in secret reports on detainees at the U.S. military Guantanamo Bay prison camp obtained by the whistleblowing website WikiLeaks. The Algerian who was captured in Pakistan in 2003 was described by interrogators as a facilitator, courier, kidnapper, and assassin for Al-Qaeda, and he just so happened to be government intelligence. Now, if you want me to describe this in a way, if you're a new listener, I will use a pop culture example. How many of you have seen Revenge of the Sith? Episode 3 of the cheesy prequels. And quite frankly, 4, 5, and 6 are cheesy too, but when you're a little kid watching them, it kind of imprints on your brain and isn't seen as cheesy. But the point is it's archetypal. How did a little-known senator from a backwater planet become the supreme dictator of the Galactic Empire, of the Galactic Republic, that he turned into an empire? Well, first he hired a group to do a blockade of his planet, that he could complain that the Senate didn't do enough and project himself into a key position in the Senate. Then when terrorists attack the home world, he becomes chancellor by demanding that more be done and being a hawk. And by episode 3, you learn that he financed the terrorist, he financed the Trade Federation, and he double-crosses them as well. And then he destroys the Republic and wipes out the old guardians of the Republic. Now, you can simplify that. Hitler gets into power in early 33. He firebombs the Reichstag, declares civil emergency, didn't call it martial law. Then he attacks Poland, claiming Poland had attacked them by attacking his own military base. World War II starts. You know the rest of the story. And Gleiwitz is completely declassified that the German military attacked their own base, dressed up some prison inmates as German and Polish troops, shot them, shot newsreel footage of it, and said the Poles, whose army was on horseback, had attacked them. That's like saying Haiti is going to attack the United States. Haiti just blew up a Marine Corps base in Florida. I mean, no one would believe it. But that's what happened. Though the Poles did put up more of a fight than the French did with their ancient military. I mean, they had a pre-World War I style military up against the most modern military in the world, it seemed at that time. Very simple how this happens. Hitler didn't just set up martial law overnight. He had to stage terror attacks and do some other things. He used the Depression to also get into power. And he was given Western financing. And he didn't start World War II without staging a crisis. It's now been partially declassified that the 1898 blowing up of the battleship, the Maine, in Havana Harbor was staged. Everybody happened to be off the boat at the time on a special leave when something blew up in the boiler. And then it was blamed on the Spanish government. Remember the Maine, so the United States started its imperial march, taking over Cuba and then the Philippines, and it just so happened to have their fleets ready to sneak attack Spanish fleets at anchor at different ports. The U.S. just so happened to have its fleets all waiting off the coast with attack orders to hit the Spanish fleets at anchor at what was left of their empire in the Pacific. Sure. Believe that, I got a bridge I'll sell you. And then, of course, it's declassified. Gulf of Tonkin was used to get us into Vietnam. 4,000 plus U.S. advisors, 4,300 and change, had died from 1960 to 1964 before they staged the attack on the destroyers and then launched the war that killed 58,000 Americans, over 1 million Vietnamese. And you were a conspiracy theorist from 64 until 2004. In the media, in the 40-year anniversary, they declassified the LBJ tapes. The CIA admitted, NSA released the transcripts, totally staged, premeditatedly, nothing attacked the ships. And then they had the Gulf of Tonkin resolution 3 days later, and off to the races. So see, this doesn't just happen with Darth Sidious in the imaginary world of Star Wars a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Okay? It happens here in the real world. Am I saying there aren't Muslim extremists in Saudi Arabia and other places that if they see you with a Bible, they will beat you to death? No, that goes on. Are Christians persecuted in other areas? Yes. And every area where Christians are persecuted is an ally of the globalists. The globalists have always hated Christians because they want to replace it with their collectivist, materialistic eugenics religion. They want to tear down any existing order. So while they're trying to tear down Islam, they're also trying to tear down Christianity because they want, and they're going to use both of them against each other. What did Albert Pike write in Morals and Dogma in 1877, and in subsequent letters, one of them held in the British Naval Archives, that they would have 3 world wars, one to take down Germany and to destroy Europe, a second one to bring in a League of Nations, is what he called it, and then they later got the UN. This is before the League of Nations was set up, 30, 40 years before. And then a final clash between the Muslims and the Christians. And when they're done with us, they bring in their collectivist world religion after tens of millions die in this next global clash of civilizations. And then you read all the globalist documents, the Club of Rome, the UN, the CFR, the Trilateral Commission, the PNAC documents. They talk about this clash of civilizations. And so they create Al-Qaeda and have them attack the Russians, the Serbs. They have them overthrow Arab governments that are secular, the globalists don't like. Destabilization is the name of the game.